In this video, we visit Florida's most beautiful cemeteries and top-rated memorial parks, open now for visitation, burial, and mausoleum and columbarium interment. You'll wander through open and active cemeteries, national military graves, and historic sites that hold tales of the past. You'll step inside both public and private mausoleums for a rare glimpse of these architectural marvels. You'll get details on pricing, grave options, burial laws, and more. You'll explore top-rated cemeteries featuring columbaria, memorial gardens, scenic sanctuaries, tranquil water features, and the final resting places of famous Floridians. Whether you're interested in in-ground burial, above-ground burial, under-the-sea burial, or cremation, Florida offers a variety of respectful and beautiful options for eternal rest. This video is proudly produced by the Rome Monument Company, a U.S. monument designer and builder since 1934. Families in Florida have trusted the Rome Monument Company for the highest quality private family mausoleums, personalized granite monuments and headstones, and bronze grave markers. Headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Rome delivers and installs monuments and mausoleums in cemeteries throughout the United States. Florida is known for its many beautiful cemeteries. Its warm climate fosters the growth of abundant plants and trees. Many cemeteries offer scenic ocean or gulf views. Centuries-old gravestones tell about Florida's colorful past. And the architectural styles of its monuments are unique and varied. Now let's look at 8 beautiful top-rated Florida cemeteries that are open now for visitations, tours, and new burials. West Palm Beach, incorporated in 1894, was designed and constructed by Henry Flagler, Florida's founding father, to support his Florida East Coast Railway and nearby resort hotels. In 1904, Henry Flagler created the Woodlawn Cemetery on 17 acres of pineapple fields in West Palm Beach for graves for the early pioneers of Palm Beach. The entrance gate reads, "That which is so universal as death must be a blessing." Inspired in name and design by New York's park-like Woodlawn Cemetery, it was deeded to the city of West Palm Beach in 1914. Charles Edward Merrill, co-founder of Merrill Lynch, is interred in the Woodlawn Cemetery. Today, Woodlawn Cemetery is still active and accepting new burials. It consists of 3 cemeteries: Woodlawn Cemetery, the Jewish Cemetery, and Woodlawn Cemetery North. The picturesque Woodlawn Funeral Home and Woodlawn Memorial Park is just 12 miles west of Orlando, in the town of Gotha. The Orlando, Florida Temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a couple miles north in Windermere. Woodlawn's property includes a large lake, beautiful sculptures, and native wildlife. The cemetery serves different faiths, cultures, and beliefs, including the Catholic and Jewish faiths, Hindu and Muslim societies. Several cremation gardens for burying urns and memorials are dedicated to military veterans and the memory of those who perished in the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Service men and women are honored on Memorial Day with American flags and on National Wreath-Laying Day with wreaths placed on the veterans' graves. Burial plots are available for cremation pedestals, cremation benches, and flush and upright memorials. Woodlawn sells family estates for above-ground entombment and private mausoleums with crypts for caskets and niches for urns. Climate-controlled indoor mausoleums in Columbaria hold cremation remains. The Community Mausoleum of Christian Heritage holds the cherished Life of Christ mosaic, crafted in Italy and assembled in Orlando in 1993. Florida State A1A leads to the Florida Memorial Gardens on the Atlantic coast of eastern central Florida in the city of Rockledge. The historic city was founded in 1887, making it the oldest incorporated municipality in Brevard County. Lorraine Fulcher founded the sweeping 89-acre Florida Memorial Garden Cemetery in 1958. Burial options include ground burial, indoor or outdoor mausoleum entombment, or a cremation memorial. The park accommodates flush, bronze-on-granite markers and upright granite markers. It has 18 mausoleum buildings and several cremation gardens, including the Lakeside Chapel of Peace Mausoleum and Oak Point Cremation Estates, which features cremation pedestals along the water. The original cemetery at the scenic Fernhill Memorial Gardens and Mausoleum was created in 1905 in the tiny settlement of Stuart on Florida's Atlantic coast. The sweeping and serene grounds of Fernhill Memorial Gardens and Mausoleum encompass lush green lawns with a variety of mature trees. In-ground burial, above-ground burial, and cremation options include lawn spaces, cremation gardens, columbaria, cremation niches, and indoor and outdoor mausoleum crypts. Monument options include upright headstones, granite memorial benches, and flat bronze grave markers that sit flush to the ground. Sun-drenched Naples, Florida, founded in 1886, is known for its active retirees, high-priced homes, white sand beaches, and well-groomed golf courses. The Episcopal Church, Trinity by the Cove, supports the devoted residents of Naples and Collier County, offering numerous burial, entombment, and cremation options. For in-ground burial, the cemetery offers single graves, companion spaces, multi-grave private estates, and 4 cemetery gardens. The Garden of Honor is for those who served in the military, Sha'ar Shamayim for those of Jewish faith, Peace and Tranquility Gardens for those who are secular, non-denominational, or who come from all faiths, and the Garden of Meditation for the burial of cremated remains. Mausoleums are available for above-ground burials. The community Sunset Mausoleum has indoor and outdoor crypts for caskets and indoor and outdoor niches for cremated remains. The public Tranquility Garden Mausoleum features side-by-side, companion, and single crypts. Private standalone mausoleums are typically built for 2 caskets. St. Petersburg, Florida, and its natural surroundings are a haven of biodiversity that offer a broad range of landscapes and habitats. Located in St. Petersburg is the Cathedral of St. Jude the Apostle, a Roman Catholic cathedral and the seat of the Diocese of St. Petersburg. Resurrection Cemetery, a ministry of the Catholic Diocese of St. Petersburg, is more than a consecrated location for interment of our departed loved ones. Surrounded by grand oak trees, Resurrection Cemetery is a slice of near-pristine native landscape in Hillsborough County and the Tampa area. Mausoleums and cremation niches are sparsely placed within the natural wooded lands of a 120-acre nature preserve. Resurrection Cemetery contains thousands of spaces for caskets and niche spaces for cremains. Founded in 1822, Jacksonville was named after our 7th president, Andrew Jackson. Over the years, Jacksonville's places of worship, such as its Southern Baptist churches, have been an integral part of the community. Since 1931, historic Riverside Memorial Park has been ensuring a respectful farewell and legacy for the deceased for Duval County's residents. Jacksonville's beautiful Hartage Giddens Riverside Funeral Home and Riverside Memorial Park serves a variety of cultures and religions. Their staff is well-versed in Jewish, Christian, Catholic, and Muslim traditions. They provide burial and cremation services with funerals, memorial services, and celebration of life services. Cemetery spaces are available for casket and urn burials. Bronze markers and granite monuments are common gravesite memorials. The Memorial Park is the final resting place for Southern music pioneers Dave Lublack, founder of Molly Hatchet, and Ronnie Van Zant and other members of the Leonard Skinner Band. Mausoleums in the Memorial Park include private, community, indoor, and outdoor. The city of Gainesville, founded in 1854, is a hub for education, arts and culture, innovation, sports, and healthcare. Nestled in a protected nature area near Gainesville, the Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery is Florida's first certified conservation cemetery. The cemetery works with the Alachua Conservation Trust organization to manage, protect, and restore the shady forests and flowering meadows. Prairie Creek provides natural burial services, also called green burial. There's no embalming, no vaults, and all burial containers or shrouds are biodegradable. Burial for bodies and cremated remains is available to all people, regardless of race, religion, or natural origin. After a brief explanation of the U.S. National Cemetery System, enjoy a tour of 9 top-rated VA National Cemeteries open now in Florida for visitation and new burials. In 1983, the state of Florida transferred land to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs for the development of the Florida National Cemetery, one of 136 national cemeteries administered by the VA. It's located 50 miles north of Tampa in the city of Bushnell. The 500-acre cemetery in the Withlacoochee State Forest is set in a beautiful southern landscape. This lush memorial park offers both in-ground burial and above-ground burials. The VA cemetery offers traditional grave sites for casketed remains. In 2001, the cemetery opened a columbarium with niches for holding urns with cremated remains. It is the second most active national cemetery with more than 7,000 burials per year. Since the first interment in 1988, the cemetery has buried over 137,000 veterans and their spouses with dignity, honor, and respect. Green burials are now offered at this Florida VA cemetery. The top-rated Florida National Cemetery, open now, serves as a burial ground for veterans and their eligible dependents. Honorably discharged veterans who have met a minimum active duty service requirement, plus their spouses and dependents, are buried in the Florida National Cemetery at no cost. American heroes buried in the cemetery include Medal of Honor recipients and veterans of the Seminole War, Civil War, and Spanish-American War. An American hero, World War II Captain Leonard Mack Schroeder Jr., is interred here alongside his wife, Margaret. The first American soldier to come ashore from a landing craft in the D-Day invasion, retired as a full colonel in 1971. The Sarasota National Cemetery is dedicated to U.S. military service members and veterans. Located southeast of Sarasota, Florida, the beautiful cemetery is known for its peaceful and reflective environment, natural tranquility, and well-maintained grounds. This final resting spot for U.S. military service members is truly a tranquil and peaceful setting. The highly ranked Florida Cemetery is open now for new burials. Interment options include in-ground burials in a grave and above-ground entombment in a columbarium. The cemetery layout was designed in a circular pattern, with each branch of the military having its own designated area radiating from a central amphitheater called Patriot Plaza. Burials began in January of 2009 in the 295-acre cemetery. Patriot Plaza was dedicated in 2014. The 20,800 square foot amphitheater has built-in seats for attendance. It is covered by a grid of 792 glass panels supported by a steel space frame. The one-of-a-kind 2,800-seat ceremonial Patriot Plaza Amphitheater is an incredible and awe-inspiring structure. The expansive rostrum area for speaking accommodates a 55-piece orchestra. The Pops Orchestra of Bradenton and Sarasota performs at events like Celebrating the Stars and Stripes on President's Day. The plaza includes commissioned world-class artwork, photography, sculptures, and mosaics. The layout of the 6th National Cemetery developed in Florida is comparable to the Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. It provides over 18,000 full casket grave sites, more than 15,000 pre-placed crypts, 9,000 spaces for in-ground cremains, and 7,200 columbarium niches for storing cremated remains. It's the final resting place for 32,000 veterans, spouses, and dependents. Burial options include designated grave sites for casketed remains, columbarium niches for cremated remains, and in-ground cremation spaces. Custom-designed granite monuments honor the sacrifices made by the U.S. Armed Forces. Current VA-furnished upright headstones are white and made with granite. The inscription contains the deceased's name, rank, branch of service, date of birth, and date of death. The VA also offers flat bronze and granite grave markers, bronze cremation niche markers, and bronze medallions. The Korean War Veterans Memorial Monument is dedicated to the Korean War Veterans Association, Chapter 199 from Bradenton. A dedicated columbarium with niches for cremation urns and ashes was opened in 2013. Tour guides lead school groups around the cemetery streets named Marine Corps Trail, Air Force Drive, Veterans Boulevard, and Coast Guard Parkway. Both the local American Legion Novell Post 159 Honor Guard Rifle Team and the Sunshine Post Honor Guard provide military honors at funerals. Military funeral cemeteries include a 3-volley salute, a flag ceremony, and taps. Burial rites and associated ceremonies conducted by the cemetery workers and volunteer groups do a great job. Ceremonies include readings by family, friends, or clergy, the playing of taps, and the presentation of a burial flag. It hosts dedication ceremonies for various events, including Memorial Day and Veterans Day tributes. Wreaths Across America Day is enthusiastically celebrated at the Sarasota National Cemetery. On a Saturday in December, remembrance wreaths are laid on the graves of our country's fallen heroes, and each and every veteran's name is said aloud. World War II Navy veteran and Major League Baseball player Hal White is buried here. The Sarasota National Cemetery is situated south of the historic MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. The Tampa and Sarasota communities had a notable military and Air Force presence during World War II. Abner Morris Ost Jr. was a decorated American flying ace in World War II. In 2015, he received the Congressional Gold Medal for his heroism and 30 years of distinguished service. He lived to the age of 98. In 2020, Colonel Ost was buried with full military honors at the Sarasota National Cemetery in recognition of his defense of the country's freedom through aviation warfare. Located about 60 miles north of Miami, in Lake Worth, Florida, South Florida National Cemetery serves veterans and their families within a 75-mile radius. Opened in 2007, it is one of the newest national cemeteries in the United States. The South Florida National Cemetery provides burial space and memorialization for eligible veterans, active duty service members, and their eligible family members. The cemetery spans over 300 acres and is designed to accommodate 110,000 veterans, spouses, and dependent children. South Florida National Cemetery has burial spaces to accommodate casketed remains, cremated remains, and a memorial wall for memorialization. In 2011, Claude R. Kirk Jr., the 36th governor of Florida, was buried in the South Florida National Cemetery. Kirk served in the Marines and governed the state from 1967 to 1971. U.S. Coast Guard veteran and Major League Baseball player Joe Astroth was buried here in 2013. The historic St. Augustine National Cemetery is the oldest national cemetery in Florida. Located in St. Augustine, one of the nation's most storied cities, it sits within the historic district that encompasses the oldest part of the city. Although the land was originally part of a monastery until 1763, when England took Florida from Spain, it has served as a burial ground since that same year. The cemetery was designated a national cemetery in 1881, and despite its military origins, it is now essentially closed to new interments. Today, this 1.4-acre site welcomes visitors daily from sunrise to sunset. Adjacent to the cemetery is St. Francis Barracks, now known as the Florida State Arsenal, which serves as the headquarters for the Florida National Guard, the Florida Army National Guard, and the Florida Air National Guard. The first interment in the area took place in 1828, when it was used as the post cemetery for the barracks. The cemetery's origins date back to early American military history. In 1821, when the United States acquired Florida, a portion of the old Fort Barracks was set aside as a post cemetery. The site became especially significant during the Second Seminole War, which took place from 1835 to 1842. Many soldiers who died battling the Seminoles, who resisted the U.S. government's forced efforts to relocate the tribe to Oklahoma, were interred here. The remains of those killed during the Florida Indian Wars were transferred to the St. Augustine Post Cemetery, and more than 1,400 soldiers, including those from Dade's command, were interred in 3 collective graves. 3 distinctive pyramids and an obelisk were erected in memory of these fallen soldiers. In addition to Indian Wars veterans, the cemetery is also the final resting place for Civil War soldiers. In 1923, Union Army Brigadier General Martin Davis Hardin was interred in the cemetery. The cemetery also houses the graves of 5 British Commonwealth servicemen from World War II, as well as soldiers from the Spanish-American War. In recognition of its rich historic significance, the St. Augustine National Cemetery was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1970. Barrancas National Cemetery is a United States national cemetery located within Naval Air Station Pensacola, established in 1914 in Pensacola, Florida. The 94-acre grounds have served as a burial site since the construction of Fort Barrancas. In 1838, the cemetery was established as a United States Navy cemetery, making it the first national cemetery in Florida. It currently has over 50,000 interments. The VA cemetery provides military funeral honors and features columbaria for veteran interment. The cemetery accommodates both casketed and cremated remains. Early U.S. naval aviator and Vice Admiral Ralph Davison and his wife Elizabeth are memorialized here. For more information, visit the National Cemetery Administration website at cem.va.gov. The Tallahassee National Cemetery is dedicated to the memory of all the men and women who answered their country's call to service. The new 250-acre cemetery serves as a final resting place for many U.S. veterans and their families. The beautiful and peaceful cemetery in Leon County opened in 2015. The VA cemetery will serve over 83,000 veterans in Tallahassee and the surrounding area. Tallahassee National Cemetery has interment options available to accommodate casketed and cremated remains. Options include in-ground graves for caskets, in-ground urn vaults, and columbarium niches. The facility includes a public information center and administration building. It also has a flag assembly area, an honor guard building, and committal shelters. Jacksonville's military heritage is deeply rooted in its history, so it is only fitting that in 2009, the 526-acre Jacksonville National Cemetery became the 7th national cemetery in Florida and the 128th in the national system. The cemetery accommodates both casketed and cremated remains. The city's strategic location on the St. Johns River and the Atlantic coast spurred its early military significance. The area later became a vital naval hub during World War II, with major installations such as the Naval Air Station Jacksonville, commissioned in 1940, Naval Station Mayport, and Marine Corps Blunt Island Command supporting local defense and economic growth. World War II veteran, author, and artist Jack Dayton Hunter Sr., known for his novel The Blue Max and its film adaptation, is interred here, as well as U.S. Army veteran Samuel Jones, the celebrated Hall of Fame guard for the Boston Celtics, who won 10 NBA championships with Jones. The Jacksonville National Cemetery remains active and is accepting new burials. Bay Pines National Cemetery is a serene, peaceful, and beautiful place. Located in Pinellas County, the 27-acre cemetery is one of the most historic cemeteries in Florida. Bay Pines National Cemetery was officially dedicated as a military burial ground for veterans in 1933. The cemetery is part of the Bay Pines Veterans Administration Home and Hospital Historic District. The district was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2012. The cemetery is located on the grounds of the current Veterans Administration Center. The VA Cemetery is about 9 miles west-northwest of St. Petersburg, Florida, and Tampa Bay. Visitors are welcome daily from dawn to dusk and are treated with kindness and respect. At the cemetery entrance, visitors are greeted by the solemn grandeur of a prominent pink veterans monument. The grand 5-sided Art Deco tower was constructed in 1937 from Etowah marble from Georgia. The cemetery is dedicated to the memory of the 27,000 people interred here. The landscape features well-maintained grave sites, headstones, monuments, and memorial plaques. During military funeral honor ceremonies, a 40-foot carillon bell tower plays God Bless America and taps for a fallen soldier. one of Florida's most accomplished politicians, is buried in the Bay Pines National Cemetery. Charles William Bill Young served in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1971 until his death in 2013. The cemetery is now closed to casketed remains unless space is available at an existing family gravesite. The cemetery still has individual niches available in above-ground columbaria structures for the entombment of cremated remains. Cape Canaveral National Cemetery is a peaceful cemetery located near the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Cape Canaveral is a major location for U.S. space exploration. The cemetery was established to serve the needs of veterans and their families in the Central East Florida Space Coast area. Over 17,000 burials have taken place at the Cape Canaveral National Cemetery since interments began in 2016. The cemetery has in-ground burial space available to accommodate casketed remains. It also has in-ground burial space and above-ground columbaria for cremated remains. Tuskegee Airmen were interred at the Cape Canaveral National Cemetery with full military honors. On February 17, 2023, flags in Florida were flown at half-staff as a sign of respect for the interment of James Rollins Eddy. The Korean War veteran, lawyer, politician, and Florida judge is buried in the Cape Canaveral National Cemetery. In 2018, military funeral honors were held for Rear Admiral Aileen Dirk at the Cape Canaveral National Cemetery. She was the first female admiral in the U.S. Navy. On behalf of a grateful nation, the American flag was presented to her next of kin. Here is a brief snapshot of the top-rated Catholic shrines, Catholic cemeteries, and Catholic mausoleums in Florida open now. The beautiful Catholic National Shrine of Our Lady of La Leche, the oldest shrine in the U.S., is open daily in St. Augustine, Florida. It has a garden rosary, a historic chapel, a small museum, and a gift shop. The Basilica of the National Shrine of Mary, Queen of the Universe in Orlando, is a significant Roman Catholic pilgrimage site and house of prayer dedicated to honoring Mary, the Mother of God. Open daily, it offers services including Mass, reconciliation, and guided tours. Catholic Cemeteries of Central Florida has 4 parish-operated properties located throughout Central Florida. The 48-acre Queen of Angels Catholic Cemetery was established in 2020 in historic Winter Park. The office is open Monday through Saturday. Call for an appointment with a memorial advisor. The active All Souls Catholic Cemetery, just west of downtown Sanford, was established in 1890. Monuments in the 4.5-acre cemetery affirm faith in the resurrection. Call for information on the burial of full-body remains and burial of cremated remains. The historic and active St. Joseph Catholic Cemetery in Palm Bay dates back to the founding of permanent church grounds in 1914 by pioneering Catholic families. The first church on the site still stands and is now surrounded by the cemetery. The cemetery offers burial rites for full-body remains, the burial of cremated remains, and interment of cremated remains in its 2 columbaria. The new St. Matthew's Cemetery in Winter Haven offers interment of cremated remains in a 5-unit granite columbarium surrounded by garden paths. Columbarium niches can accommodate a double interment. The top-ranked Our Lady of Mercy Chapel Mausoleum is in the Our Lady of Mercy Cemetery in Duval, a city in Miami-Dade County. The beautifully maintained 100-acre cemetery and mausoleum were consecrated in 1959. The mausoleum is enclosed to ensure visitors year-round climate-controlled comfort. Their new Ascension Mausoleum has over 12,000 casket spaces, over 5,000 cremation niches, and a modern chapel for prayer and reflection, and serves the Archdiocese of Miami. Their Christ the King Mausoleum complex features travertine marble crypts and niche fronts, trimmed in African red granite. The cemetery also features a garden mausoleum path and offers crypts in garden mausoleums. Among the many notable Catholics with strong Miami history buried here include Miami Dolphin head coach Don Shula. The sacred grounds of the Our Lady Queen of Peace Cemetery in Royal Palm Beach were consecrated in 1974. The 53-acre Catholic Cemetery in Palm Beach County serves the faithful of the parishes and missions of the Catholic Diocese of Palm Beach. It offers many alternatives for cremation and full-body interment and memorialization, including private estates, grave sites, mausoleum crypts, and cremation niches, monuments, urns, vaults, and custom memorial options. The beautiful 105-acre Calvary Catholic Cemetery in Clearwater has served the Tampa Bay area since 1960, with strong roots centered in the Catholic belief. Calvary's final resting places, in-ground burial spaces, and mausoleum entombment facilities are nestled in a tranquil setting and are meticulously maintained. Cemetery options include bronze memorials, granite upright monuments, private mausoleums, family burial estates, mausoleum crypts, family cremation estates, memorial benches, and cremation niches. Our Lady Queen of Heaven Catholic Cemetery in North Lauderdale, Florida, was consecrated in 1959. More than 34,000 souls have been laid to rest here in peace and tranquility. Top-rated Jewish cemeteries, mausoleums, and Columbaria in Florida are open daily for visitation. They adhere to Jewish mourning rituals, bereavement customs, and burial traditions. In this section, we'll highlight 11 of Florida's most renowned Jewish cemeteries, memorial gardens, and mausoleums. Today, South Florida, with the Miami, South Palm Beach, and Fort Lauderdale metropolitan areas, boasts the second-largest Jewish population outside of Israel. Members of Miami's Temple Emmanuel are commonly buried at the Mount Nebo Miami Memorial Gardens. The 30-acre cemetery, established in 1940 in Miami-Dade County, is the oldest Jewish cemetery in Miami. The cemetery offers traditional ground burial, mausoleum entombment, and cremation niches. Miami's 24-acre Lakeside Memorial Park, established in 1964, features tranquil gardens, a serene lake, private family mausoleums, indoor and outdoor community mausoleums. Temple Beth Am sells grave sites in 2 special sections here. Highly rated Jewish cemeteries in Palm Beach County include the Eternal Light Memorial Gardens in Boynton Beach, with community and private mausoleums that provide above-ground burial options for both caskets and urns. The beautifully landscaped 60-acre Jewish cemetery was started in 1978. The motto of the nonprofit South Florida Jewish Cemetery in Lake Worth is affordable, authentic, green. It opened in 2019 and offers burial plots starting at $4,500. The cemetery founder encourages traditional burial over cremation. In 2005, the Bethel Mausoleum of Boca Raton was created on the grounds of Temple Bethel, the city's first synagogue. It serves the Jewish community of South Florida and has thousands of crypts and niches available. The Gardens of Boca Raton is an all above-ground mausoleum cemetery and funeral home that opened in 2003. The all-faith 23-acre cemetery offers services rooted in Jewish tradition. Their mausoleum buildings have dedicated Jewish sections with cremation niches for cremated remains and urns. Plots are available for private family mausoleums. Highly praised Jewish cemeteries in Broward County include the historic Beth David Memorial Gardens in Hollywood, which began as a beautifully landscaped $40,000 square foot park in 1934. It contains 2 lakefront memorial gardens. In Jewish tradition, stones are placed on graves to signify respect for the deceased, to mark gravesite visitation, and to symbolize the permanence of the soul in memory. Jewish burial rituals emphasize a prompt, natural burial in a simple wooden casket, avoiding embalming and viewing. The serene 80-acre Star of David Memorial Garden Cemetery in North Lauderdale, created in the 1970s, has an abundance of mature trees, sweeping green lawns, and blooming flowers. Its Levitt Weinstein Memorial Chapel provides services for the observance of Jewish customs and traditions. The 5-acre Gan Shalom Cemetery was established in Lutz, a suburb north of Tampa in Hillsborough County. It was established in 2008 specifically for members of the Jewish faith and their families. 2 of the oldest and most historic cemeteries in Florida enclose smaller Jewish cemeteries and dedicated sections for Jewish burial plots. The historic 167-acre Evergreen Cemetery, founded in 1880, is Jacksonville's oldest actively operating cemetery. The Duval County Cemeteries Cloister Mausoleum was opened in 1976 and has a 96-foot carillon bell. The Jacksonville Jewish Center is associated with 3 small historic Jewish cemeteries located within Evergreen Cemetery: the New Center, the Old Center, and the Beth Shalom cemeteries. The Temple Cemetery section is dedicated to Jewish burials for Congregation Ahavath Chesed. In 1904, the historic Woodlawn Cemetery was created on 17 acres of pineapple fields in West Palm Beach in Palm Beach County. In 1922, the Jewish Community Cemetery acquired land for a Jewish cemetery on the western edge of the Woodlawn Cemetery. Many Jewish cemeteries and VA National Cemeteries in Florida offer columbarium niches for the interment of cremated remains. A rabbi, cemetery manager, or funeral home director can answer questions about Jewish cremation laws, burial traditions, and mourning practices. Historical African American and Black cemeteries in Florida represent important racial identities, cultural and ethnic heritages. Some of Miami's most noted African Americans are buried in Lincoln Memorial Park. Gwen Cherry, the first African American woman in the Florida legislature, was buried in 1979 in the Lincoln Memorial Park. Dana A. Dorsey, Miami's first black millionaire, died in 1940 and was entombed in a mausoleum in Lincoln Memorial Park. North Woodland Cemetery is a historic African American cemetery in Fort Lauderdale. Here are 15 other African American cemeteries in Florida that hold significant cultural and historical value: Crystal Memorial Gardens Cemetery in Crystal River, Charlotte Jane Memorial Park Cemetery in Miami, African Cemetery at Higgs Beach, Evergreen Cemetery in Bartow, Whispering Souls African American Cemetery in Clearwater, Evergreen Memorial Cemetery in Miami, Greenwood Cemetery in Tallahassee, North Greenwood Cemetery in Clearwater, Rose Hill Cemetery in Tarpon Springs, North Woodland Cemetery in Fort Lauderdale, Tiger Flowers Cemetery in Lakeland, Westview Community Cemetery in Pompano Beach, Pinehurst Cemetery in St. Augustine, San Sebastian Cemetery in St. Augustine, Lake Maud Cemetery in Winter Haven. Florida's historic cemeteries tell cryptic stories, and haunted burial grounds reveal ghostly tales. Old 1800s-era cemeteries and churches reflect the diverse spiritual beliefs, cultural heritages, and ethnic traditions of the state established in 1845. 2 national historic landmarks in downtown Miami are the Freedom Tower and the Miami City Cemetery. The tower is a beacon of hope, freedom, and opportunity for the Cuban-American community. Located a mile north of the Miami-Dade College Freedom Tower is the only municipal cemetery in Miami-Dade County. The historic burial grounds were created in 1897, a year after Miami was incorporated. Famous citizens that shaped the early history of the Magic City are memorialized in the Old City Cemetery at 1800 Northeast 2nd Avenue. Among the 9,000 burials are pioneer families such as the Burdines, Peacocks, and Dr. James Jackson. The mother of Miami, Julia DeForest Tuttle, was buried in the cemetery in 1898. The businesswoman owned the property upon which Miami was built and provided the land to Henry Flagler, whose railroad helped establish the city. She's the only woman to found a major American city. A Civil War Veterans Memorial was erected by the United Daughters of the Confederacy. In 1915, the Beth David congregation started a Jewish section in the graveyard. Miami's most famous graves can be found inside the park. Mausoleum structures in the cemetery are accessed through a door for above-ground interments. There are 14 private mausoleums in the cemetery. Their conservation has been prioritized. The largest mausoleum was built for the Belcher family, and it remains in impeccable condition. Granite grave markers and marble monuments are nestled inside park-like vegetation. Approximately 1,000 open plots remain within the cemetery. In 1822, Lieutenant Commander Matthew C. Perry of the U.S. Navy sailed the schooner USS Shark to the island of Key West in Florida. On March 5, 1822, the city of Key West was established when Commander Perry planted the U.S. flag on the island, claiming the Florida Keys as U.S. property. In 1846, after a hurricane, the historic Key West Cemetery was established in the Old Town neighborhood. The 19-acre cemetery was developed on high ground, 16 feet above sea level. The Ernest Hemingway House is now the most popular tourist attraction on the island. Asa Tift, a wealthy salvager, originally constructed the residence and was buried in 1889 in the Key West Cemetery at the age of 76. In 1898, the USS Maine, a second-class battleship, sailed from Key West to Cuba to protect U.S. interests during the Cuban War of Independence. On February 15, 1898, the USS Maine exploded in Havana Harbor, killing 266 sailors, and the Spanish-American War started soon after. In 1890, the city of Key West dedicated a U.S. Navy burial plot in the Key West Cemetery to the victims. In 1900, a bronze statue of a sailor wearing a Spanish-American war uniform was dedicated. The Lone Oarsman Memorial is the centerpiece of the plot that contains about 24 graves of those who perished in the explosion. The Los Martires de Cuba Memorial honors those who fought in the 1868 Cuban Revolution. Monuments in the historic Key West Cemetery reflect the long history and diversity of the Key West community. Old and new mausoleums can be seen throughout the cemetery. Sloppy Joe Russell was laid to rest in Key West Cemetery in 1941. At night, Russell poured drinks for Ernest Hemingway at his bar Sloppy Joe's. And during the day, he worked as Papa's fishing guide. The Jewish cemetery is a small section in the southeast portion of the property. The private mausoleum for the Mitchell family was built with brick crypts, gabled roofs, and arches, reminiscent of New Orleans cemetery architecture. Between 80,000 to 100,000 people are buried within the fenced-in cemetery. Culturally evocative bronze memorials mark the graves of Spanish Americans. In-ground and crypt-style above-ground graves are adorned with touching memorials to those who passed too soon. The cemetery is known for its unique and quirky gravestones, diverse history, and above-ground burials. This granite six-crypt modern family mausoleum was recently installed in the active cemetery that still conducts about 100 interments a year. Founded in 1565, St. Augustine was the Spanish Florida capital for 200 years. In 1672, construction began on the Castillo de San Marcos, the oldest masonry fort in the continental United States. St. Augustine historic colonial streets, churches, and cemeteries tell the story of its indigenous Spanish, British, and American influences. The first Presbyterian congregation in Florida was organized by Reverend Dr. William McClure in 1824. The building was a gift to the church by Henry Flagler as a memorial to his daughter, who died tragically in 1889. The famous St. Augustine benefactor is entombed with his wife and daughter in the family mausoleum inside the church. In 1832, the Memorial Presbyterian Church acquired the Huguenot Cemetery from Reverend Thomas Alexander. The half-acre public cemetery was created in 1821 due to the yellow fever epidemic. It is the oldest non-Catholic cemetery in Florida. The cemetery contains a significant collection of 19th century funerary art and stone carvings. At least 436 multiracial and multi-ethnic Protestant burials took place before the cemetery closed for new interments in 1884. St. Augustine guided history, ghost, and gravestone tours. Visit the Haunted Huguenot to enjoy paranormal pursuits. An obelisk-style memorial honors Thomas Buckingham Smith, a great Floridian who died in 1871. The Cathedral Basilica of St. Augustine is home to the nation's first Catholic parish. The Christian congregation was established in 1565. The historic cathedral is located in the heart of St. Augustine's historic district. You can take a 10-minute walk down Cordova Street to the church's original cemetery. The Tallahassee Cemetery began as Tallahassee, a village and burial place for Christian Indians in the 1700s. It is now owned and maintained by the Catholic Basilica of St. Augustine. Tallahassee Cemetery was used as the parish burial ground from 1793 until 1884. The first bishop of St. Augustine, Augustine was buried here. He was interred in the mortuary chapel at the back of the cemetery. In 1884, St. Augustine closed all the city cemeteries for health reasons. Tallahassee Cemetery has a long history of ghosts, hauntings, and more than a few macabre events. The historic 86-acre Greenwood Cemetery is located in downtown Orlando. It is worth touring Orlando's oldest cemetery, which dates back to the 1800s. There are very old memorials dedicated to veterans and soldiers of the Civil War. Edna Giles Fuller, the first woman elected to the Florida legislature, was buried here in 1952. In 1850, the historic Woodlawn Cemetery became Tampa's first public graveyard. When Tampa became a city in 1853, the 3-acre cemetery served as the northern border. It was designated as a public burying ground for white and slave, rich and poor. Among the 1,700 graves are 13 former Tampa mayors. It contains 2 adjoining cemeteries, the city-owned Woodlawn Cemetery and the Catholic-owned St. Louis Cemetery. Headstones memorialize Tampa's early pioneer families. Henry Lorenz Mitchell, Florida's 16th governor, rests in peace here. In 1850, a Tampa Bay Buccaneer was interred here. Martinez Ybor, who founded Ybor City in 1885, was one of Tampa's greatest benefactors. After he died in 1896, he was entombed in a 2-crypt private mausoleum. The cemetery is listed in the National Register of Historic Places. Jacksonville established the Old City Cemetery as the town's main burial ground in 1852. It's located at 911 North Washington Street, a few blocks away from the historical downtown district. The earliest graves date back to 1827, with the most recent burial taking place in 1998. Today it is recognized as a National Historic Landmark by the Jacksonville Historic Landmarks Commission. The 50-acre memorial park is home to many Confederate soldiers' tombs. One soldier, Francis Philip Fleming, served as the 15th governor of Florida from 1889 to 1893. In the 1800s, obelisks were commonly used as funerary monuments. Cemetery sections were reserved for freedmen, Confederate soldiers, Masons, Catholics, and the Jewish. Joseph Finnegan led the Florida Brigade in the Army of Northern Virginia during the Civil War. The Brigadier General in the Confederate States Army was buried here in 1885. In 1970, the 108-acre Pensacola Historic District was designated as a U.S. Historic District. Historic St. Michael's Cemetery covers 8 acres of the district. Over 3,000 graves are marked with old headstones, granite obelisks, stone monuments, and family mausoleums. There are at least 4,000 unmarked graves as well. Burials date back to the mid to late 1700s in one of Florida's oldest existing cemeteries. The colonial-era cemetery served the Spanish, British, and Americans. Old private mausoleums are still intact. Local ghost tour guides stop at the cemetery to discuss its haunted history. The rich history of Coconut Grove, Miami's oldest neighborhood, started with Bahamian pioneers in the 1870s. The first black community on the South Florida mainland was started in Coconut Grove on Charles Avenue. The area was officially designated Little Bahamas of Coconut Grove. Bahamian families were buried here in the Coconut Grove Bahamian Cemetery. It was first used as a graveyard in the late 1850s. It is a popular tourist destination for people interested in Bahamian history and culture. When the cemetery was purchased in 1913, the name changed to Charlotte Jane Memorial Park Cemetery. Because the cemetery is near sea level and prone to flooding, burials were done above ground. The cemetery inspired the zombie dance scene in Michael Jackson's Thriller music video. In this video, we'll visit cities, churches, and cemeteries throughout Florida that offer above-ground private mausoleums and indoor and outdoor public mausoleums as an alternative to in-ground burial. Mausoleums are a popular interment option in Florida for several important reasons. Florida's frequent rain, high water tables, and flooding can damage traditional in-ground burials. Mausoleums protect caskets and urns by keeping them off the damp ground. The state's hot, humid, and rainy weather makes indoor climate-controlled mausoleums popular. They not only protect the deceased from the elements, but also provide a comfortable space for visitors even during the hot summer months. Many families favor ornate mausoleums because they can house multiple generations together, creating a lasting tribute and strengthening family bonds. With Florida's booming population, cemeteries can become crowded. Mausoleums efficiently contain multiple interments in one structure, saving valuable space compared to traditional grave plots. The Rome Monument Company installed this small private family mausoleum in the Royal Palme Memorial Gardens in Punta Gorda, Florida, in 2023. Established more than 4 decades ago, the non-sectarian Boca Raton Cemetery and Mausoleum is located at 451 Southwest 4th Avenue in Boca Raton. The original town cemetery in Boca Raton was founded in 1916 on land that is now occupied by the Royal Palm Yacht and Country Club. For over 40 years, the non-sectarian Boca Raton Cemetery and Mausoleum has been serving the residents of Palm Beach County. The beautifully designed complex of chapels and gardens is surrounded by houses of worship. The Boca Raton Cemetery and Mausoleum offers a complete selection of memorialization options. Boynton Beach in Palm Beach County, Florida is a haven for water enthusiasts due to its natural beauty, year-round sunshine, and pristine beaches. In 1898, Fred Dewey laid out a town site on either side of the railroad called Boynton, which became Boynton Beach. Shortly thereafter, the municipal cemetery was created south of town. The 12.3-acre Boynton Beach Memorial Park and Mausoleum contains the graves of Boynton Beach pioneer families and tombstones from 1903. The cemetery, which is open daily from 7 a.m. to dusk, features hundreds of elegant bronze grave markers. The indoor and outdoor mausoleums, opened in 1980, feature a stained glass mural created by Conrad Pickle. The Chapel Mausoleum building contains both crypts for bodies and niches for cremains. The Boynton Beach community on the southeast coast of Florida is well served by the Eternal Light Memorial Gardens. South Florida's premier Jewish cemetery is a beautifully landscaped park. Palm Beach County families have received compassionate funeral, cremation, and burial services at the park since 1978. Memorial Garden mausoleums are beautiful alternatives to traditional in-ground burial, holding the remains of the deceased above the ground. Indoor and outdoor community mausoleum crypt and niche spaces are available. Above-ground private mausoleums in Columbaria are unique memorials dedicated to individuals, companions, and families. Cremation Garden memorialization options include flat bronze grave markers, slant and upright monuments, cremation benches, and cremation pedestals and boulders. In-ground burials and lawn crypts are available for placement of caskets and urns. Families can purchase a custom estate bordered by shrubs and greenery for a 1-crypt or 2-crypt mausoleum. Nestled in western Boca Raton on 21 pristine acres is the prestigious family-owned Gardens of Boca Raton. The multi-faith above-ground cemetery and funeral home serves families in South Florida from Miami to Jupiter. The lushly manicured gardens and cemetery include private mausoleums, crypts, niches, salons, estates, and memorial benches. Their community mausoleums are indoor or outdoor buildings with spaces for urns and caskets. The indoor public mausoleums are shared spaces with crypts located inside. Outdoor garden mausoleums and side-by-side crypts share spaces located outside. Sophisticated private family mausoleums feature interior rooms with seating and altars. Cremation burial options range from glass niches, marble family legacy niches, marble benches, and marble niches inside and outside. In 1964, Serenity Gardens Memorial Park in Largo, Florida was established as an addition to the Annona Pioneer Cemetery. Large private gardens with tropical landscaping surround elegant mausoleums. Above-ground burial in private mausoleums and indoor-outdoor community mausoleums is available. Open-air mausoleums set among trees and landscaped lawns appeal to nature lovers. Private mausoleums are very personalized resting places. Columbaria house banks of niches for urns and are a popular alternative to cremation burial. Outdoor mausoleum spaces usually cost less than those indoors. Granite monuments and bronze grave markers tell unique stories of lives. Private and community mausoleums at Evergreen Cemetery are historic. Evergreen Cemetery is a national landmark, rich in local cultural history. Founded in 1880, it is the final resting place of Jacksonville founder Isaiah D. Hart. Completed in 1978, the Garden Cloister Mausoleum is the site of the landmark 96-foot Carillon Bell Tower. It contains 2,218 crypts and cremation urn niches for above-ground entombment. You will also find the Community Garden Mausoleum and Stations of the Cross Mausoleum on the beautifully landscaped grounds. The old private family mausoleums are fascinating. The 66-acre Caballero Rivera Woodlawn North is one of the oldest and most beautiful cemeteries in Miami, Florida. It has been serving the historic First Presbyterian Church congregation since 1913. It is the final resting place of the great American dancer Fernando Briones and Miami founder William Brickell. Traditional ground burial, in-ground lawn crypts, and above-ground entombment options are available. The stately Woodlawn Park North Mausoleum was designed by the famed mausoleum architect MacDonald Lovell in 1926. Families can purchase private estates for private mausoleums. Cremation niches in Columbaria and community mausoleums are for sale. Some of the top cemeteries in Florida open now will be listed by county and city in this video. Many counties in Florida are home to beautiful and scenic cemeteries, ranging from historic burial grounds to modern memorial parks. While most cemeteries in Florida are privately owned and operated, some are operated and maintained by their respective county or city government. Many highly rated cemeteries in Florida also offer funeral home services. Cemeteries in all Florida counties are governed by Chapter 497 of the Florida Statutes. County or municipal-owned cemeteries in Florida are generally exempt from the licensing requirements of the Division of Funeral, Cemetery, and Consumer Services. Coming up in this video are 8 counties with lists of active cemeteries currently accepting new interments. Most offer both in-ground burials and mausoleum crypts and niches for entombment. Miami-Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach County, Hillsborough County, Orange County, Lee County, Brevard County, and Pinellas County. Hillsborough County is on the northeastern shore of Tampa Bay in west central Florida. Tampa's vibrant and diverse culture is influenced by its strong Cuban, Catholic, and Jewish heritage. Hillsborough County cemeteries feature rolling landscapes, water fountains, ponds, old moss-draped oaks, and meticulously manicured memorial gardens. Tampa has many types of cemeteries run by private entities, churches, the Roman Catholic Diocese, and Jewish community centers. Tampa's 8 historic public cemeteries are open daily for visitation, but do not have any burial spaces for sale because they've been sold and deeded to individuals. These include Oaklawn Cemetery, Woodlawn Cemetery, Memorial Park Cemetery, Jackson Heights Cemetery, Centro Astoriano Cemetery, Marty Cemetery, Cologne Cemetery, and Pyramid Crypt Cemetery. The privately owned cemeteries in Hillsborough County that are open now offer spaces for sale along with comprehensive services for burials, funerals, and cremations. Reviewers and families in Florida praise the following 7 cemeteries in Hillsborough County that sell in-ground burial plots, crypts and niches in indoor and outdoor mausoleums, and columbarium spaces for cremated remains. Garden of Memories Cemetery in Tampa, Myrtle Hill Memorial Park in Tampa, Serenity Meadows Memorial Park in Riverview, Rest Haven Memorial Park in Tampa, Sunset Memory Gardens in Thanota-Sasa, Hillsborough Memorial Gardens in Brandon, Orange Hill Cemetery in Tampa. Pinellas County, a peninsula on the west central coast of Florida, includes the cities of St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Palm Harbor, Largo, and Seminole. It has many beautiful cemeteries, memorial parks, mausoleums, and columbariums with plots and interment spaces for sale. The culturally rich region is home to a diverse array of religious faiths. The following 8 scenic Pinellas County cemeteries, memorial gardens, and memorial parks have burial plots and indoor mausoleum spaces that are available now. Sylvan Abbey Memorial Park in Clearwater, Calvary Catholic Cemetery in Clearwater, Curlew Hills Memory Gardens in Palm Harbor, Garden Sanctuary Cemetery in Seminole, Serenity Gardens Memorial Park in Largo, Memorial Park Cemetery in St. Petersburg, Woodlawn Memory Gardens in Clearwater, and Chapel Hill Memorial Park in Largo. Orange County, Florida is known for its year-round sunshine and warm weather. It is a tourist, economic, and cultural hub in Central Florida. Here are 10 excellent Orlando and Orange County cemeteries for burials and entombment. The list includes public municipal city cemeteries and historic graves, memorial gardens that sell flat grave markers, a private Jewish cemetery for mausoleum burials, and a sacred Catholic cemetery with a columbarium. Historic Greenwood Cemetery in Orlando, Chapel Hill Cemetery in Orlando, Drawdy Roost Cemetery in Orlando, Woodlawn Memorial Park in Gotha, Temple Israel Cemetery in Gotha, Orlando Memorial Gardens, Apopka, Edgewood Greenwood Cemetery in Apopka, Queen of Angels Cemetery in Winter Park, Glen Haven Memorial Park in Winter Park, Winter Garden Cemetery in Winter Garden. Miami-Dade County is well known for its diverse and multicultural population. It is the most populous county in Florida with over 2.5 million residents in cities such as Miami, Miami Beach, Homestead, Coral Gables, and Doral. Many Miami-Dade County cemeteries are landscaped with lush tropical plants and trees that create a park-like serene setting. The following 10 top-rated cemeteries, memorial gardens, and memorial parks open now in Miami-Dade County serve people of all faiths and nationalities. Mount Nebo Miami Memorial Gardens in Miami, Caballero Rivero Woodlawn North in Miami, Caballero Rivero Woodlawn South in Miami, Miami Memorial Park Cemetery in Miami, Graceland Memorial Park North in Coral Gables, Graceland Memorial Park South in Miami, Lakeside Memorial Park in Miami, Our Lady of Mercy Cemetery in Miami, Flagler Memorial Park in Miami, Neptune Memorial Reef Underwater Columbarium in Miami. Broward County, located in the Miami metropolitan area, is Florida's second most populous county with almost 2 million people living in cities that include Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Coral Springs, Pompano Beach, Davie, and Plantation. Broward County cemeteries provide a natural setting for reflection and memorialization and are a haven for local flora and fauna. Broward County cemeteries offer burial services for various faiths and communities. The following top-ranked Broward County cemeteries, memorial gardens, and memorial parks serve a mix of racial and ethnic groups. Evergreen Cemetery in Fort Lauderdale, Sunset Memorial Garden Cemetery in Fort Lauderdale, Forest Lawn Memorial Garden South in Fort Lauderdale, Forest Lawn Memorial Garden Central in Fort Lauderdale, Lauderdale Memorial Park Cemetery in Fort Lauderdale, Our Lady Queen of Heaven Catholic Cemetery in North Lauderdale, Star of David Memorial Gardens in North Lauderdale, Beth David Memorial Gardens in Hollywood, Fred Hunter's Hollywood Memorial Gardens North in Hollywood, Fred Hunter's Hollywood Memorial Gardens East in Hollywood, Forest Lawn Memorial Gardens in Pompano Beach, Menorah Gardens and Southwest Ranches, City of Pompano Beach Cemetery in Pompano Beach, Dania Memorial Park in Dania Beach. Palm Beach County on the southeast coast of Florida is the largest county by area in the state. 1.5 million residents who live in West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Boynton Beach, Jupiter, and other coastal cities contribute to a vibrant and diverse culture that is deeply influenced by the county's history as America's first resort destination. Cemeteries in Palm Beach County are praised for their tranquil botanical gardens and lushly landscaped grounds. Palm Beach County has a diverse religious landscape with a significant Jewish population, a substantial Catholic presence, and various other Christian denominations. Reviewers consistently describe the following 15 cemeteries, mausoleums, and memorial gardens as beautiful, peaceful, and well-maintained. Our Lady Queen of Peace Cemetery in Royal Palm Beach, South Florida National Cemetery in Lake Worth, Lake Worth Memory Gardens in Lake Worth, Royal Palm Memorial Gardens in West Palm Beach, Eternal Light Memorial Gardens in Boynton Beach, Palm Beach Memorial Cemetery in Lantana, Hillcrest Memorial Park in West Palm Beach, South Florida Jewish Cemetery in Lake Worth, Star of David Cemetery of the Palm Beaches in Palm Beach Gardens, Woodlawn Cemetery in West Palm Beach, Forever Glade Cemetery in Belle Glade, Boca Raton Municipal Cemetery and Mausoleum in Boca Raton, the Gardens of Boca Raton in Boca Raton, Temple Bethel Mausoleum in Boca Raton, Riverside Memorial Park in Jupiter. Brevard County on the central east coast of Florida is called the Space Coast due to the aerospace industry and coastal location. Here are the top 10 cemeteries open now for ground burials and mausoleum interments in Brevard County. The list includes memorial gardens and a National VA Cemetery dedicated to the American veterans. Highlighted are a historic Roman Catholic cemetery and a large non-denominational family-owned cemetery. Florida Memorial Gardens in Rockledge, Fountainhead Memorial Park in Palm Bay, Cape Canaveral National Cemetery in Mims, Riverview Memorial Garden Cemetery in Cocoa, Brevard Memorial Park in Cocoa, St. Joseph Cemetery in Palm Bay, Oakland Memorial Garden Cemetery in Titusville, Cocoa Memorial Park in Cocoa, Sebastian Municipal Cemetery in Sebastian, Melbourne Cemetery in Melbourne. 3 cemeteries open now in Fort Myers and Lee County are located near the Gulf Coast in southwest Florida. Coral Ridge Cemetery in Cape Coral, Fort Myers Memorial Gardens in Fort Myers, and Lee Memorial Park in Lehigh Acres. These offer traditional ground burial, mausoleum entombment, and cremation memorialization. They feature gardens dedicated to veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces, cultural groups, Masons, Catholics, and those of Jewish faith. Private family walk-in mausoleums and community mausoleums are buildings with crypts or niches on the inside, and that can be accessed through a door that opens to the mausoleum interior. An above-ground private walk-in mausoleum with a door that opens to an indoor vestibule containing crypts and/or niches is a popular choice for Florida families. It keeps bodies safely above the high water table and provides an intimate space for families to gather in remembrance. This private family walk-in mausoleum holds 2 crypts and 16 cremation niches. It is made with Tiffany gray granite, has a single solid one-piece granite base course, solid oval bronze door, oval stained glass windows, and an oval roof that is vaulted on the interior. It costs about $620,000. This is a private walk-in mausoleum for 1 to 3 crypts. It has 2 custom bronze doors, 2 custom bronze wreaths, a gable-style granite roof, granite step, custom Japanese lettering, and a family picture. It goes for about $118,000. This small private walk-in mausoleum is designed with a gable roof, custom bronze doors, custom bronze wreaths, a sports car picture and a helicopter picture, and custom granite carvings and etchings. The family paid about $122,000 for this mausoleum. Here is a 9-crypt vestibule-style family walk-in mausoleum with crypts that load from the outside and back. It has a push-in door and a reflecting room. The price? About $200,000. This U.S. private family walk-in mausoleum is designed for crypts for up to 6 people in caskets or a combination of crypts and cremation niches. It's constructed in Tiffany gray granite with a solid bronze door, 3 stained glass windows, and a chapel roof that is vaulted on the interior. It cost the family about $210,000. Private family mausoleums can be custom designed per order through the Rome Monument Company and mausoleum designer Vincent Diaguardi. There are numerous burial options available to Floridians. Traditional in-ground burials require a burial plot, a casket for a body, and a grave marker to memorialize the departed. Above-ground burials include entombment in private family mausoleums, columbaria, and public or community mausoleums. Direct cremation forgoes embalming, viewing, and the services of a funeral director, making it a cost-effective option. Florida cemeteries, memorial parks, and mausoleums usually display their burial costs and mausoleum prices on their website. In this video, we'll see inside private and public mausoleums with crypts for caskets and niches for ashes and urns. Mausoleum crypts provide dignified resting spaces, while niches offer smaller areas for cremated remains. Florida's indoor and outdoor mausoleums feature both options for permanent memorialization. Cremation services in Florida involve burning the deceased's body and reducing it to ashes and are an alternative to traditional funeral services. It is typically performed in a crematorium and can be arranged with or without a funeral service. Cremated remains are accepted at all 9 of Florida's national cemeteries. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs provides honorably discharged veterans, spouses, and dependents with burial in a Florida National Cemetery at no cost. In Florida, a death certificate must be registered with a local or state vital records office within 5 days and before the body is buried or cremated. According to Florida law, a cremation can't be performed until a legally authorized person gives written authorization. The cremation must be performed within 48 hours after a specified time, agreed to in writing by the person authorizing the cremation. Bronze markers are common cremation memorials for gravesites in a Florida cemetery or memory garden. There are several types of burial plots available at Florida cemeteries and memorial gardens, including traditional single burial plots, side-by-side companion burial plots, family burial plots, and plots for cremated remains. Florida burial plots range from around $1,000 to $5,000 or more, depending on the cemetery's location and prestige. You can actually buy and sell Florida cemetery plots on websites such as gravesolutions.com, ebay.com, thecemeteryexchange.com, buriallink.com, and craigslist.org. You can also search for Florida burial records or find a grave marker by name online at familysearch.org or findagrave.com. You can purchase a granite monument, bronze grave marker, or family mausoleum for a Florida cemetery by contacting the Rome Monument Company by phone at 724-770-0100, by email at info@romemonuments.com, or by ordering online at romemonuments.com.